All right,
And we're
Raf.
on in three, two. Welcome to the Golf Podcast Live, brought to you by ECS, Evolve Creative Solutions. I'm your host, Raphael Calmet, alongside Michael Bleakley. If you haven't seen it already, it's pretty amazing. Tiger Woods looks like he's playing the Masters. Lots to talk about today. We've got a very special guest. We also have some pretty cool stats. With us today is Oliver Tubb. He is a golf professional with almost 50 amateur and worldwide professional wins, design associate at Lobb Partners and PGA Tour professional. Welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thanks. Good to be here.
Yes, thanks for coming, Oliver. I really appreciate it.
We always love to start the show, Oliver, by letting our audience know a little more about our guests. So tell us about how you got started, how you got into golf, and where you are today, your short journey in golf.
Thanks, guys. I'll start where I'm today. I'm in North Vancouver in the Pacific Northwest of Canada, and I'm somewhat not retired from competitive golf, but I'd say most of those rounds are somewhat behind me. But I have that golf start journey where my dad introduced it to me when I was 8, 9 years old. I was born in Scotland, so if you're a Scot, you have to play golf.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was introduced. You'll get a kick out of this, Mike. And a little 9-hole golf course where the sheep cut the greens.
Oh, wow.
So that was a true story. 9 holes. They had the little wires around the greens, and the sheep cut the fairways. They didn't cut the greens, but the sheep roamed around. And yeah, as I was a teenager and got a bit older, I got more and more into the game, and it's kind of been there ever since.
Very cool. So, at what point did you want to start going into the professional competitions? Because as I know, playing amateur events, it's a lot harder than playing golf with your friends. So, what prompted the torture of tournament golf to you?
The torture is a good word. I think it was an evolution with myself. I never, some players will tell you they wanted to be a pro from the get-go. I think I like the game and I'm competitive. And I wasn't very good when I started, and every year I got a little bit better. I think in my last year of junior golf, so 18 years old, I qualified for Ontario Amateur, Ontario Juniors, Canadian Juniors. I played some tournaments in the provincial sort of level that were a bit of an eye-opener to this is kind of fun. This is another level of challenge. I wasn't good enough to go to a big US D1 university. And in hindsight, totally happy with how it all worked out, but ended up going to the University of Guelph in Ontario and took a 4-year landscape architecture degree and played college golf. Played for 4 years. Had a blast.
Very cool.
That's pretty cool.
At the end of that, I wanted to play more. That's what happened.
So tell us about college golf. How was that experience playing in Canada? I guess I came out of the PGM program as well. Guys had like Scott Sinclair and Gary Boyd who used to play probably around your time as well. What was that experience like, and how is it different than playing in the U.S.? Although, in the U.S. right now, Division II golf is just as high as Division I golf was back in the day. Just to get onto a Division II team is quite the feat. Tell us about your experiences in college.
Yeah, I think the level's not as deep up here, because anyone who's really accomplished and passionate looks for warmer weather and higher levels of competition. But we played a fall calendar, couple of September, October. By the end of October, it was done. Mainly in and around southwestern Ontario, with a provincial championship, and then there's a national championship in the spring. We had a blast. It was fun. When I was there, we won a number of tournaments, won some provincials. We did not win a nationals, but kind of got in the mix and won. And it's just
go fun. Hawks. I think Humber took Hook Nationals 10 years in a row when I was there.
Well, we played different divisions, so we were on the OUA, but we where was I going with that? It was a blast for a couple of months. You just go hard, and then you have to catch up on all your schoolwork. And I think that maybe a bit of the difference is the schoolwork kept on going and probably does keep on going, whereas possibly in some of the more golf focused programs down south, golf takes a bit more consistent focus.
They have assistants handling their schooling for them, right?
No, I didn't say that, but that's out here in Vancouver. We have Canadian universities that play in U.S. divisions and do so all year round, and that's it's quite a different experience than what I had in Ontario. So I think it's a bit different across the country as well. And
after school competitions, and I know that you've gone to Dubai, and you've been in Mexico, Caribbean, all over the place, and went to qualify for the Euro Tour, if I recall correctly. So how did you transition from school competitions into professional golf, and run us through some of your travels and experiences overseas?
Yeah, I'll make about a 15-year story, kind of condense it right down. I was again okay at golf in college days. Good enough to win a little bit locally, but not that good. But I'm stubborn, I'm ambitious, I'm competitive. So following graduation, I actually spent 6 months in Florida over a winter just playing golf every single day and practicing every single day. At the time, not knowing how rare that would be to sort of focus that exclusively in golf. And I came back and I played a summer schedule on the Great Lakes Tour, which is the Ontario kind of mini tour for golf. And I think I made, I want to say 15 to 20 grand playing on the Great Lakes Tour that summer.
That's great.
And I bartended, and I was like, this is kind of cool. I won a couple of tournaments, and I went, this is kind of fun. It's one thing to win a dozen balls or a wedge. It's another to get a check for $1,500. And
absolutely.
And so that kind of got me into the professional golf world, but then I had to pay off student loans. So I moved to Vancouver with the intent of getting a real job. Did. And I kind of worked for a number of years or a couple of years and paid off some debts, but realized real work isn't nearly as much fun as chasing golf balls. So I kind of quit, and with the intent of the Canadian Tour, and that started 5 years of really trying to make a go of it on the Canadian Tour, which is an absolute blast. To jump forward a little bit, you're talking about European Tour School in Dubai and other parts of the world. When you're trying to find an opportunity to get onto the Corn Ferry Tour, the European Tour, the PGA Tour, whatever it is, you're just looking for that next event that might open a door. So you're seeking out where you can go. And so I played some tournaments on, it's called the MENA Tour, Middle East, North Africa Tour, in and around the Middle East, as a warm-up for some stuff on the Sunshine Tour in South Africa and European Tour qualifying. And this was in 2019.
Yeah, I remember that now.
That's recent.
What?
Wow.
That was recent. Yeah, so I had back to my sort of story. I Canadian Tour for 5 years, and I would tell you I wasn't very good. Like I could play out there, but I wasn't close to what it was needed to win. And if you can't win out there, you're kind of not going anywhere. But after I ran out of money and sort of finished up with the Canadian Tour, that would be 2011, 12 sort of time. That was coincided with joining the PGA of Canada and learning how to teach golf lesson and working in the industry. I still improved my game and actually figured out how to play a little bit better. So I still chased it for a while and had a pretty good push at it in 2018 and 19 to try and get on the European Tour, and didn't quite.
Well, that's all right. I guess all this travel and stuff led you to golf course design. I've been to Dubai as well, played at Jumeirah Golf Club back in 2014 and saw the event there. The travels really do something for your game when you see the diversity in golf courses outside of Canada or the US, and especially in Europe, because they're designed very differently. Many courses are much older. For example, you're talking about Scotland and England and Ireland. And so they're narrower, they're more of a country style course. You really need your A game. They're not as manicured as they are out here. Is that part of the reason what got you interested in golf course design and being an associate?
I think, you talk about that, what got me into tour golf thing when I was younger, what got me into golf. Well, golf architecture design was the thing when I was a kid. That was, I would draw golf holes like any other golf architect who's out there now. They'll tell you that they were drawing golf holes on the back of a napkin when they were teeny. So that was my introduction, or my hook. I didn't act on it much through my sort of 20s and 30s because I was chasing golf balls. I was trying to play tour golf, but it was always in the back of my mind. My education is landscape architecture. So the design of outdoor space, and golf course architecture is a subset of that. So I've always had it in the thought process, but I haven't really acted on it until kind of the end of that European Tour qualifying push in 2019, where I got introduced to and got to know the guys who work with Lobb Partners, so Tim Lobb and Alex Hay. Tim's in London, United Kingdom, UK. He's an Aussie. He's been there for 25 years. But one of his associates, Alex Hay, who's also a Brit, moved to BC, moved to Whistler in 2017. So I kind of came on with Alex to help out here in Canada. You asked me about traveling the world and seeing different golf courses. I'd open that up to travel in general. If you travel, you get perspective on what's out there. And I think that enriches your ability to understand our world, to understand design or whatever it is that you're doing. And so with me and seeing all these different golf courses all around the world, then yeah, it gives me some foundation to think critically on the golf courses that we have here and in this region. Yeah.
And before COVID, like, golf was kind of in the decline, really, statistically, and less people playing, and definitely not as many golf courses being produced. Now golf is insanely popular, which is great in many ways. A few negatives, but overall, we're growing the game. What do you think in terms of the design industry itself? Like, are you feeling an uptick now that you're entrenched in it? Will we see new golf courses in Canada, BC? What are your thoughts on where we're going from here architecturally?
With the uptick of the game, then that's provided the owners and the operators a bit of an uptick in their books and their ability to spend some capital. So we see projects happening. Maybe it's projects that were put off for a number of years, and a whole host of what those projects could be. So yeah, there's interest. Things are picking up in Canada from that perspective. Will there be new golf courses? I'm sure there will. Will there be many of them? No, I don't think so. A new one coming in Revelstoke, which will be the next new one in sort of BC. We're quite a mature golf market in Canada. You mentioned, Raf, you mentioned old courses. We have courses in Canada from the 1800s. 1893, I think, is Victoria Golf Club.
1873 is Royal Montreal.
So we have some very old golf courses here that are as old as some of the most famous old ones in and around London, for example. But what we have is we have a lot of golf courses, and they've been here for 60s, 70s onwards kind of thing. So are we going to build new ones? I don't know. We might repurpose and reimagine and renovate existing ones, which is some of the work that we're doing.
Yeah.
See lots of that in our future, for sure.
Lots of talk. This is Masters Week. After all, everybody's excited about all the redesigns that have been done there, especially number 11 that's been lengthened. The green's been redesigned. I don't know if you've heard anything, but Tiger's out and about all morning today. They showed him on the Golf Channel. They showed him on ESPN. And he released this statement. I'm going to read it to you guys. I will be heading up to Augusta today to continue my preparation and practice. It will be a game time decision on whether I compete. Congratulations to 16-year-old Anna Davis on the amazing win. And good luck to all the kids in the drive, chip, and putt. It's pretty incredible. How many comebacks is he going to have? He's 46 years old, same age Jack was in 1986 when he won his Masters. He comes back with from this epic crash that everybody talked about, almost lost his leg, very much like Ben Hogan and his crash that he had. And it's funny how almost history repeats itself, 70 years later. Your thoughts on Tiger Woods? If he does play, how is he going to play? He hasn't played a competitive round since the 2020 Masters, I suppose. And he is Tiger Woods after all. I know he has his backyard redesigned, so most of the chipping and putting areas are undulated like most of the greens at the Masters. He's looking great. People say he looks just as good as he did before the accident. I think he looks even better than he looked before the accident. Your thoughts on Tiger and him playing at the Masters?
I hope he does, and then if he does, you don't put anything past Tiger, because Tiger has proved time and time and time again that he's Tiger Woods. He's the best ever. Yeah, he's Tiger. He's incredible. So yeah, I hope he plays. The tournament will be better for it. The golf world's better for it. How will he perform? I have no idea. He thinks his way around a golf course better than anybody ever has. So, can you think your way around Augusta and shoot some scores? Yeah. Can he do it off and lengthen number 11? I have no idea. Depends on a number, right? But I wouldn't put anything past him. He's proven that time and time and time again. So can't wait to see what happens.
Mike, we've talked about this week after week. It's pretty incredible how everybody has their own opinion. It's funny how our video with Craig Cannon went viral. We've talked to every single guest over the last 3-4 months about Tiger Woods. Even when we say we're not going to talk about him this week, he sort of pops up and he needs to be talked about. He's always in the news. He puts out a clip of his swing late last year that's 3 seconds long. It's the most viewed thing on social media. It's pretty incredible.
He won the PIP because of that swing, right?
He's one of the few people globally that everybody knows. He transcends his sport. He transcends sport. He's such a recognized figure in our world.
The media makes the mistake of saying that he can't do something. How often does Brandel jump out and say, "Hey, no, he's going to miss the cut," or whatever, something negative or critical, but yet Tiger does the exact opposite and shows up and makes us all eat our dust, basically. And so it's hard to predict what he's going to do. If he missed the cut, everyone's going to say, "Hey, great to see him out there." We're all going to be happy that he's out playing golf again. But if he wins, it's going to be the greatest comeback, even before his last win. It's going to blow that out of the water. So highly unlikely, obviously, but as
so was everything else.
Yeah, you never know. And he, as you said, Oliver, he thinks differently than the rest of us, and he knows how to get that ball around the course. And I find since he's come back, from his previous distractions, he came out better, and he's quite a few surgeries, but he wasn't swinging as hard as he used to. Like as Butch Harmon said, harder and hardest were his 3 speeds, and he's toning things down, but still has great accuracy, great distance, long enough to compete. And so who knows what we're going to see. And we all know that he underestimates how he is feeling. So he's probably stronger than everyone thinks right now.
Well, he won the Open on a broken leg, basically, against Rocco Mediate. We remember that. So he's got the tenacity and the focus to play through anything. He's got a lot of things to look out at. It's not just his back. It's not just his leg. It's his ankle. But the way he was striping it during the PNC was incredible with his son. I know he was in a cart. I know it's Florida. It's flat. It's very different than the Masters. But the video that just went viral that the Masters released that I was showing at the beginning of our segment was him walking up a hill at one point. And walking focused and strong. The way he was running up and down those stairs at the Genesis kind of gave me the inkling that, he might come back. But our survey on Twitter shows that we got a good sample size, about 100 people. 59% of the people think he's going to play the Masters. 18% think he's going to just play the par 3 course. 16% think that he's going to play both, and 7% of our viewers think he's not playing at all. So we'll see. People are optimistic; they'd like to see him play. But that's just an amazing golf course. That goes back to the fact that this is the only major that returns to the same golf course. And I think that's what makes it special, and that's what makes it so sad with the LPGA, if we could circle around that golf course in California, Arnie's old golf course. It's too bad. They're moving it to Dallas. Is it Dallas? But they are moving it somewhere in Texas, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Your thoughts on the LPGA leaving that golf course? Huge tradition, beautiful, very unique golf course. Your thoughts about that and the Masters setup as well, maybe?
Sure. I don't have any particular knowledge on, why that decision was made to move the LPGA. I'm sure they have reasons. Having that longevity of golf course just adds to the tradition, to the stories, to the shots that were hit, and it brings another element to it, and it's special, and that's partly what makes Augusta special. It's partly what's going to make the 150th Open Championship at St. Andrews this year special, because we can measure it against history. And I know there's been changes in the way that the golf ball and technology and all that stuff, but we're still measuring against what happened in previous editions of those tournaments. When it moves around, you have to wait longer to get that kind of consistency or look back at what happened at that venue the last time they were there. So yeah, sad, but new memories will be made, and I'm sure the tournament will do great, and it'll start a new chapter, so to speak. And then thoughts on Augusta. Augusta is just, I haven't been there, so it's on my top of my bucket list. It needs to happen. I don't know when it will, but it will sometime. Just the shots that you're asked to hit at Augusta are so varied. As a tournament player, you got to hit at different shapes, you got different heights, you got to know where to hit on the green, your chips, your putts, everything is so razor fine margins, but it's so varied that it just brings out these compelling tournaments with the great players, and it's theater. It's so much fun to watch.
Yeah, Mike, you were telling me about that, right? You're talking about the fact that Mission Hills, you sent me that article that it's not going to be there anymore. Remember when the press release came out, and I couldn't believe you, because it's sort of about tradition. The players get to go to the same place every time, and then there's traditions. The girls jumping into Poppy's Pond. Yeah. All of that is just really special, and that design by Arnold Palmer. I played it only on the simulator. Right? I don't know if you've played that golf course on the simulator.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
But there's so many plants and flowers. I always thought this can't be real. This is fake, until you watch the event. And Mission Hills is just so beautiful with these ponds and the layout and the way they manicure the place.
It's an amazing facility. For one, I've been there. Palm Springs, Palm Desert area is it's a jewel. Like I could absolutely live there. I love the golf there. I think it's a shame that they couldn't have figured out a way to keep the history for that tournament there. But again, we don't know all the details as why. What I did read is ticket sales have been dwindling even before COVID. There's been a few issues, and everything always comes down to profits and whatnot. So you can understand why. And Chevron, I would think them coming in as the lead sponsor is a reason why they want to move it to Texas. So it's a shame. Christina Kim was very vocal about it yesterday or through the weekend, calling out the Masters for airing the amateur event for the women is a major distraction from it. So there's obviously some bitterness out there in the LPGA, but it's the decision that's been made. There's no way we can turn it back right now. So it is a shame, but Christina's in a bit of hot water. I think what the Masters is doing is great for women's golf and great for amateur golf. So it's kind of hard to throw them under the bus for trying to grow the game in one level, but maybe they could have aired that on Monday or Tuesday. I mean, there's could have been something to give the airtime to the event. So yeah, it's a shame, but there's nothing we can do. Golf will continue, and the history will always be there. But it's too bad to lose that event.
Yeah, Oliver, I think you put it best. I mean, they're going to make new memories. It'll be a new location. There's a lot of positives that are coming out of this as well, even though it's a shame that they're leaving that location. One of the things I saw on the range today, because the coverage is pretty cool with Marc Immelman, and they got Kelly Tillman there talking. They got the ESPN coverage, and it's better than it's ever been. Netflix is there. You could see them running around with all their camera guys because they're making that new series about the PGA Tour. But one of the things that's changed over the years since we've been watching this, for the last 25 years, Mike, when we sat down and watched it in 1996 and 97 when we were roommates in Vancouver, you didn't see all the coaches, you didn't see all the instructors and the technology and the TrackMan. Oliver, your thoughts, being a coach, being an instructor, about how the game has changed, not just only at the Masters, but in general for players, with all the stuff that comes along with it, and the change in technology in clubs as well.
Yeah, we don't guess anymore. Everything is measured. And if you have a question, you can get data, you can get an answer to it. And you still have to hit the shot, you still have to create whatever it is you're trying to do, but it's just when you did it versus when you didn't, and then you can figure out how to repeat that, and on and on and on and on. And it's big business. PGA Tour is it is a big business, and these the players, the top players are they're big businesses in themselves. So however your entourage needs to be to support your business, that's kind of what it is. It's entertainment, it's all of that stuff. The player still has to hit the shot. Do they all those other supporters there when they're practicing? I don't know, maybe they don't, but it goes along with kind of where we're at in 2022.
You can almost blame Tiger for this, for coming out in 97 and running a lap around the field and being Olympic athlete material, and coming onto the PGA Tour when it was still like the end of the I could say the party days of the tour, but it was a little more casual.
The guys were rounder.
Yeah, they were a little rounder. Tim Herron is known as Lumpy, and
he had a great weekend. He had a great weekend.
He did. Yeah. No, he absolutely did, and so that forced all these other people to start to think about, hey, fitness is a thing, nutrition is a thing, sports psychology, and all of that. It wasn't just a few players that were doing it; it was most of them. And now you fast forward a couple decades, the purses are insane. It's a lot of money. So is it worth to fly your chiropractor around with you? Yeah, probably it is. Right.
I give you an edge, then absolutely. I'll share a little story from MENA Tour. You guys were asking about Dubai. So I played a tournament in, let me get this right, Oman. In Muscat. Trusting my geography here, and I played practice rounds with Richard Bland.
Oh,
wow!
In the tournament, 2019 on the MENA Tour.
I think he's playing the Masters. I think he's in.
I know.
He didn't qualify. Yeah.
Well, anyway, so I played this practice round. I didn't know who this guy was. I played with him. We were chit-chatting. Oh, I had some European Tour stat cards, and and I found out that he had played 416 European Tour events without a win at that time when I played with him. And he was the player that had the most number of starts before winning. And he'd lost his card and was playing the MENA Tour to warm up for the Challenge Tour.
Wow.
In 2019. Wow. And then, great guy, just awesome. Had a really good day. Beat him that week. So, not that means anything. Throw it in there. But then, he won in the UK. Was it 2 years ago? I can't remember. Not that long ago. And is on this kind of journey to the Masters, and it's just so cool. So, is he? He's 46 years old, maybe 47, something like that. 45. I'm not quite sure.
Might be 49.
48.
48.
Yeah.
48.
He's my age.
Yeah. He looks like all of us, 47, 48, 49, whatever it is, he's not that kind of tall specimen. Hope he's not listening to this, but you know what I mean?
You'd be surprised.
You still have to hit the ball, and you still have to think your way around the golf course. And a lot of that comes from what's up top, and then also in your heart as well. So everything else is just trying to support those things, I think.
Yeah, that's great. Mike, you mentioned the Masters back in '97. Tiger really did a lap around everyone. That was a 12-stroke win. And what blows my mind is the fact that he shot a 40 on the front nine on the day one. I think his scoring average is 75.6 for all his Masters tournaments on his first day. But that means he shot 22 under par for the rest of the tournament, which is just ridiculous in itself. But yeah, the guys who were fit back then was Greg, Vijay Singh. They were the only guys in the gym really, as they say, because the tour obviously had the portable gym that went around, and not many people were working out. Now you can't even get a spot.
There's all over the weights in there now. In those days, and now you got to book an appointment. So one thing I got to say is I thought of that it's kind of a shame that the Tiger dusted the field so badly, because after that they started growing rough at the Masters. So there's something visual about seeing the golf course on TV with all the same cut, and you could play different shots, and obviously they look to Tiger proof it, as sort of was the word of the day back then. And that's a shame, because there was something aesthetically to see it, and the creativity. They could use slopes off of their tee shots and whatnot. So where they can't now, they don't grow it like the U.S. Open rough, but they're still rough. It will have an impact if you miss a fairway. So it's kind of a shame that they did that. I understand why, but I've always thought recently that it would be really cool to see a course with no rough and see what happens. It's highly unlikely that it will occur, but I missed that day, or that timing. I
think they're just trying to keep Sandy Lyle from playing. But I love that design.
Spot. Sandy Lyle was in, when I was a kid, he was one of the guys, right?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. No, he was. No, I'm just kidding. But I know what you mean, Mike. Those golf courses that are really open concept, an old style course like that would be in Florida, like Seminole, which is completely open, and I love that. That's where Ben Hogan used to go to warm up before he'd go over to the Masters and spend some time, learn to play in the wind. You could play every shot because there's only a couple of palm trees on the golf course, right? And the rest is just sand, grass, very low rough, and you could play from another fairway.
Yeah, it opens up the creativity, right? So it's not necessarily obviously golf's important to be accurate, but there was a Golf Channel special after Tiger's win. They were interviewing about certain shots, and he was one of his best shots. He said he hit was out of the trees to a little 2-foot square, spot that he could see that was off the green on a mound, and he rolled it down to beside the pin. Obviously got it up and down, and it was that doesn't happen anymore because of the rough and whatnot. So those are the things that I miss, because you could hit these miraculous recovery shots from the pine straw and everything at Augusta. So, but it is what it is. It's still going to be great to watch. It's arguably one of the best sporting events out there, and commercial free mostly, right? The announcers actually shut up and let you just absorb it and hear the birds, and you feel like you're on your couch, but you kind of get that sense that you're there, and you're as close to the action as you can be. So I love it.
If you're just joining us, so we're talking to Oliver Tubb. He's a golf professional and design associate. We're talking about golf course design, different golf courses, as well as the Masters. Obviously, it's Masters week. I've got my Masters green on. I've also got my bucket hat, but I put it on and I look ridiculous in it. I bought it last year, but so I decided to keep my cap on. Oliver, tell us a little bit about your teaching and coaching. Are you still doing that a little bit now, and where can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'm still coaching a little bit. I'd say on a part-time basis, and I'm actually coaching at Hollyburn Country Club, which is a members family members club in West Vancouver. And unfortunately, you got to be a member to come in, but I'm providing all the golf instruction within the membership up there. And then I do an odd lesson for sort of, folks I know from sort of now or the past on the North Shore. So a little bit keep my hand in it, but mainly focusing on golf course architecture, on design, on landscape design, and some of the projects that I have with that.
Is there a certain type of student or level of player that you prefer to work with? 'Cause I know there are quite a few teaching pros, and a lot of times you get people coming in, they want to get better, but they put zero time into it after they leave you. So do you have a favorite type of player you like to work with that more satisfying for you? Or
because we're talking, Mike, the high single digit handicapper has to be that,
of
course. A sort of more detailed answer here. I love new golfers. I love working with either someone who's never picked up a club before, or someone who has and has kind of got the interest but hasn't quite figured out how to play the game yet. And I love helping them gain a foothold in what the game is, because I can make a real difference. And I find it enjoyable, and I'm pretty good at it. And it's not all the same stuff, but it's kind of the same stuff. When you get into a higher skilled golfer, and by that I mean someone who breaks 85, that you're a pretty good golfer if you're breaking 85. It's so much more personal. It's so much more what do you do, when do you do it, and to help that player make change really is, there's some process there that both have to buy in. And if you don't put the time into whatever it is you want to improve, well, you won't get better at it. And that's not for me to kind of do as the coach. It's for me to assist with and to encourage. So yeah, I still do a little bit. I enjoy it. It's something I've done many, many times over the years. But I'm kind of have my hands full with some other things as well.
No, that's good. And now, another question along the coaching side, and I think a lot of players can relate to, whether they play tournaments or not, is, you get paired with someone you can't stand, and it does happen in tournament scene. You're like, oh God, you see the draw sheet. I got to play with this guy. God, he talks all damn day. What do you say to your players to get your mind away from it? Because sometimes your mind can just dwell on something, yet you're stuck with some person who's unfavorable to you. So what would you say to your player to snap him out of that and get back into his own mind?
Mike needs some free tips.
Well, I probably talked about this with you.
Well, two things. You don't get too stressed over the things you can't control. You're not in control of the draw. So if it's someone you don't like, well, that sucks, but you know what, you got to deal with it. And then, playing golf well is about making decisions. And when I say decisions, I don't mean I don't mean what the decision is. I mean, you have to make a decision before you hit the shot. And you got to decide on the club, what you're trying to do, all this kind of stuff, but you got to make a decision. So if you're playing with someone you don't like, the strategy is make sure you really focus on your decision-making process, so that you go and you do it. When it's your turn to play, you make your decision, you execute best you can. Then you go off and you watch the next shot and you make another decision, and you try not to let the other guy or girl or whatever it would be influence that process. Because if the process is strong, you can play well. If the process isn't there, then you hit bad shots.
I agree, Oliver. Course management is one of those things that we don't think about too much, but it's so important. And this being, Masters Week at Augusta, there's no better example of a place where you need to place the ball. Like sometimes going through 4, 5, 6, and 7, all you need to do is par. If you get through those holes, then great, right? You're able to focus on a few things, but just placing the ball so you have a chance, so you get your GIRs. And sometimes that's not enough because the greens are so big, they run so fast, and you got to put it in a certain quadrant. And that's why walking the golf course is really important. I find sometimes going to a tournament, when I played tournament golf in the 2000s, going out and driving the golf course, not even playing, just taking a cart the day before if it's not too far away, or maybe early on that day if you have a later tee time. And I did that when I played the Ben Hogan Tour, the Assistants Tour in Quebec. looking at the Masters, and we got so many Canadians now, and I know you've got your competitive juices still going, Oliver, probably. And Mike still does. Him and I both dream of, going and trying to do, Q school for Champions Tour. I know it's probably a pipe dream, but we're going to try it.
It is a pipe dream.
We'll still go to pre-qualifiers. I've seen some of those scores. These guys are shooting plus 10, 20, 30. We'll still look good. We'll shoot a couple over par. Maybe we won't make the cut, but we're not going to be horrible. We talked about Mike Ballett, who played in Tampa this year, shot 65 over in 3 rounds. His low score was a 90. So, and you still make a check. But anyways, back to playing. Like you guys, we have guys like Mackenzie Hughes, Adam Hadwin. We grew up with Mike Weir. We had Ian Leggett on here just the other week. Corey Connors is playing the Masters. That's 3 Canadians. And Adam Hadwin's on fire right now. 3 top 10s in the last 3 tournaments. So he's got to come back. He's working with his coach. It seems his swing is, in my eye, is a little bit flatter. It's a little bit more elliptical. It's more athletic. His timing's way better at impact, and just the confidence. How he comes through the ball. It looks really good. So, did you grow up playing with any of these guys, and do you have your competitive juices still going?
Yes and yes.
Right.
I still believe I can play. My left knee tells you I can't, but no. Competitive, absolutely. You kind of dream of a chance where you can just focus on it, and that's all you do, and you have all the resources to go and chase it. I grew up with I'm Ontario, so I grew up with no, those guys didn't get on. I was just a little bit younger than Graham DeLette.
Right.
So I was playing Canadian Tour days with Graham, and when Graham started winning everything on the Canadian Tour, that was probably my 2nd or 3rd year out there, and then that propelled him to the PGA Tour. So Adam Hadwin's a bit younger than myself, so I've played events on the Vancouver Golf Tour around Vancouver when Adam first turned pro, and then he very quickly went to Canadian Tour and very quickly went from there, won out there, and then went up. I played with Nick Taylor as well locally. I've never played with Corey Connors. I've never played with Mackenzie Hughes, but I do remember Mackenzie from Canadian Tour days starting out. All of these guys have that thing that made them a bit different in that they truly believed in their abilities, and when they had an opportunity to win, they won.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're, continued to get better and better and better. So, yeah, could Adam Hadwin win the Masters? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Could any of these guys win the Masters? Absolutely, because they all know how to win, and they're incredible at what they do.
Adam's such a good ball striker, and that would be amazing. He's trending in the right direction. So let's go, Adam. Let's see it happen.
Yeah, we got even Roger Sloan's his game's improving. He's having a pretty decent season. He's working his way down in the rankings once again. Jared Dutois, played Torrey Pines this year, made a Monday qualifier. We had him on the show. Pretty great to see that kid out there and playing. He's out in Arizona, plays over at Silverleaf. A lot of players over in Arizona. Yeah. You get a pretty good game going if you're in Arizona at a couple of these golf courses. And
definitely.
But this is what we've talked about with the players that have been on the show. If you don't have the support system, now it doesn't necessarily have to be in the family, but maybe at the golf club or through your workplace or some friends, you really need a support because you get to a pretty dark place. Golf is a very lonely place. Unless you have a lot of money and you're at the top level of the game, you don't really have a support system. You're not traveling with a psychologist and your physio and your club fitter and all of that. You're scraping by. You probably have a part-time job. You probably have overextended yourself with sponsorship and commitments to people, and we've heard all the stories. Let's talk about that. The support system that one needs to succeed at any high level in sport, especially golf. And Canada has such a small season. We're talking about, a peak 6-month season. Unless you're on the West Coast, you might get a peak, 8.5-month season.
Yeah, your volume of opportunities is critical to getting out there and having success. And if you want to get opportunities, you need to have the resources and the support there to afford you the time to, throw your hat into the ring to try and play. It's become better in Canada. There's more support from Golf Canada in the young pro squads, both on the women's side. That wasn't there when I was starting out at 20, 22, 23 years old. So that's been huge. That's helped get the fellas that we were just talking about to where they are. The Canadian Tour, the PGA Tour Canada, Mackenzie Tour, kind of the different iterations of that. That's been huge to give players a platform to learn how to play, learn how to travel, all that kind of stuff. It's hard. It's not like it. Does it sound glamorous going to Dubai and wherever to play? Yeah, but it's it's airplanes. It's not great hotels. It's crappy food. It's you're missing a cut in a place, a city you don't know, and then you're kind of hanging out waiting for the next chance to do it again. There's a lot of of things you got to go through to get to the level that the guys are at right now at the Masters, which is incredible, but doesn't come easy. I know that much.
I can relate to driving out to Sandpiper Golf Course from the city here, which is about 2-hour drive, and going out there and shitting the bed, and then driving back for 2 hours thinking, what was I doing driving across here? So imagine jumping on airplanes like you guys and spending thousands of dollars to go over somewhere and just suck. And then and I'm sure you're running through your mind, just questioning the process and why you're chasing this. But at the same time, like, golf is as I always say, it's a hard, evil game, but when it does give you success, nothing tastes better.
Yeah,
I know.
Mike, you remember we had Rob on the show? He's 50 years old, won the qualifier to play the Champions Tour. He's been a club pro since he was 20 years old, so 30 years, dreaming of actually playing, having 3 kids, having a stable life, being a club pro, still trying to keep your game sharp. It's probably the hardest thing for a lot of PGA professionals. You hear this time after time, and I could, say this from experience. It's almost impossible if you have a lot of responsibility as an assistant professional at a golf course. That usually gets freed up over time, but by that time it's a little bit too late when you have that maturity level and you've kind of settled down. When you're younger, you really don't care. You could live out of a bag in a car and just go for it and go down to Florida for 6 months. But that being said, Rob's doing really well. Rob Labritz, he got his first top 5 finish, a T5. I sent him a note, and he's so excited about the fact that he's able to compete. He knows now that he could win against the best. These are the legends of the game. These guys have a lot of game. They're shooting 12, 13, 17 under. Alker is just an incredible player. He wins that Champions Tour event. Your thought on Champions Tour, Oliver? Have you watch the guys a little bit? Are you into it? I'm thrilled to see Mike Weir in form again and playing and building up towards the Masters. But your thoughts on the Champions Tour?
I think it's well, what other sport gives the best players from their prime a chance to do it all over again? And I just think that's great, and it gives you another thing to aspire to and look forward to. There's a few players, I think of within Canada, David Moreland, Dennis Hendershot.
That's right.
That have had, and Rod Spittle, who did incredible for a while.
Yeah.
Who sort of who've used it as a way to extend, relaunch kind of a career. There's a few guys locally up here in the Vancouver area that I'd love to see get out there and play. And yeah, it's you can do it. There's shooting 15 under par is hard, but when you're playing well, you can do it. And if you do it at the right time, changes your whole world around. So getting out there is the key. That's with everything in tournament golf, tour golf. It's just getting out into the field in a way where you can give yourself an opportunity and then taking it. So yeah, no, I'd love to see it. I don't know. I'm 10 years away, so I'm not thinking about that.
Yeah, Mike and I are right on the cusp. I think we're 48 and 49 respectively, right, Mike?
Yeah, and Oliver see my game, so he knows that I'm out to lunch. Yeah, you definitely got some distance to find, but I will try to qualify just because I think the experience of doing a qualifier, planning with the vacation, and just throw the hat in the ring and go out and the chances of pulling off a good round in those fields is low, but it meets some good people. It'd be good experience, and then just carry on, with
Absolutely.
the
And
vacation
now
break.
that we
So
know a whole bunch of these boys, Mike, we're gonna definitely do it. Len Matisos is around as well over at Sawgrass. So look, we're talking to Oliver Tubb. He's a golf professional, and he's also a design associate. We have something that we do, Oliver, called rapid fire questions. We're going to ask you one question each. Short answers are preferred. Every time we mention that, some people go on a tangent. So we're going to try to keep it short, and just so that the audience gets to know you a little bit more. My first question is your favorite golf course.
St Andrews Golf Course, Scotland.
Amazing.
okay. I haven't been there yet, but it's definitely
That's a
on the
bucket
list.
list. Yep, yep.
Yeah,
It's
100%.
it's the holy grail of golf. Sistine Chapel. It's all that stuff. It's just you got to go. So good. And then drink in the pubs afterwards.
Yeah, well, that's a whole part of that experience, that special that Golf Channel did over the holidays, on the St. Andrews area. It was unbelievable. So you got to almost stay there for a week and just soak it all in. Okay, I'll say, which course would you love to have a backhoe and some equipment and get your touch on it in terms of an architectural standpoint?
Anything?
Any course? What
Um,
course would you like to jump in and renovate?
Oh, great golf comes down to the piece of ground it's on. So
Mhm.
you're for a property piece of ground that has lots of land movement, but nothing that's extreme, and then
Mhm.
sandy soil. So if you can find me a piece of ground with lots of sand and some nice rolls and sort of interesting features, then yeah, you can create awesome golf. And it's all about being creative and
Yeah.
yeah, love to.
So I guess you're not a fan of the forced carries and some of the extra penal golf courses that we see around these days, target style.
No, I'll keep it real brief. I mentioned earlier making decisions.
Yeah.
So as soon as you have a forced carry or a really narrow golf hole, then you don't have to make a decision anymore. It's been made for you, and then it's the fun, was the interest. So I like width, I like options, and I think that's more enjoyable, and you get more creative.
Very
So
cool.
try and do that within our designs to give everybody that opportunity.
All right, Oliver, if you had an ultimate foursome, you could play with anyone, dead or alive, outside of family. Uh, who would you play with? What other three players would you play with?
Nick Price, because I was the guy growing up who I aspired to.
Nice.
And then let's go with Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus. So I'll keep it right down the middle there.
Great.
Yeah, Nick Price, Tiger, and Jack.
Yeah, very good. And what do you blast musically in your car? Your guilty pleasure. You windows up and you crank it. What is that? And please don't say like Katy Perry or something like that.
Oh, don't say that.
My answer, I'm kind of into the pods right now. I'm listening to lots of podcasts and some of them are the golf course architecture stuff because I'm sort of down that rabbit hole. And then a few others. But to be honest, I have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old, and we're all on the top 25 Vancouver lists right now, and Heat Waves keeps coming up as one of the songs that they want. So
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. You gonna get them into golf, maybe?
Yeah, they've both been introduced. They both want to. They like it. They keep asking me to go play more golf, and I think this year we're going to do a little bit more.
Any books out there in terms of golf architecture? I've recently grabbed The Links by Robert Hunter. Been trying to get through that. It's kind of a tough read. You lose your mind a little bit because it's very old verbiage and but interesting concepts. But any books you recommend for any architectural enthusiasts?
Yeah, I'll give you maybe 3 to get started. Anything? Well, Dr. Alistair Mackenzie's book from Golf Course in America, which George Crump. must reads, kind of they'll just kind of give you a really good introduction, oversight of the whole spectrum of what the old masters of golf course design were thinking and what they were thinking about. And then a bit newer, anything by Tom Doak.
Okay.
He's so well written and communicating idea really well. So Doak, he's got a number of books, and then Golf Course Architecture in America, I think, would be, and then Alistair Mackenzie's. I think those are really good starting points.
Very cool.
Very cool. Something that we do on the show, we're running at 55 minutes right now, is we like to share stories, and we like to share funny and embarrassing golf stories. We've all had our embarrassing moments, Oliver. Something that's happened in competition or maybe with some notable golfers. We've ran out of stories almost, Mike and I, but I think we could think of some other embarrassing stories. What comes to mind when I say funny or embarrassing golf story?
I'll share a Canadian Tour story from Mexico, 2009-10. We played an event in Cancun. If anyone's been to Cancun, it is hot, it is stinky, it is sweaty. You play a whole week. We had a charter flight from Cancun to a city called San Luis Potosi, which is way up in the mountains in the middle of Mexico. No one's luggage showed up.
Oh, no.
Oh, shit.
Half the field got their golf club. So we had, I want to say, a Sunday to Wednesday Canadian Tour field in Mexico where we were all on one pair of underwear, one T-shirt,
Oh, my God.
socks, going to play golf in practice rounds in board shorts, whatever you had in your carry-on. So
Wow.
that was kind of interesting.
And fighting for the rental clubs in this as well.
And eventually everything did show up, and we kind of got our gear and were able to play. But for that the practice rounds were different.
Oh, that's awesome.
Guys, this is Masters Week after all. I'd love to end it off on this note. Let's do some picks. Let's think about this for a minute. Maybe some dark horses, maybe some faves, maybe some top 10 guys. What are you thinking? I'm going to just start it off by saying I'm loving the way Cam Smith plays the ball, how creative he is around the greens. I find he could really roll the rock, and he's going to have a good week. After the Players and having an amazing week in Hawaii, with all the undulations and the way you have to shape the shots, and he just putts it. Just when you don't think he's going to do it, that back nine putting that he's had this year blows my mind. I don't have the stats in front of me, but he's right up there. I think he's 6th in greens in regulation on tour in stats. So I've got him as my winner. My dark horse is somebody who's 64 years old. It's Bernhard Langer. And he had a top 10 last year, and people are always laughing and joking. If you want to make a small bet and make some good money, you never know. For a top 10, I'm going to say, Bernhard's going to pull it off again. I know they've lengthened the course, but he's just so steady. His approach shots on all the par fives, he's able to put in the right quadrant on the greens. And that putter, inside 30 feet, debatable. He's not on the same stat level because they got the Champion Tour stats and the PGA stats, but he's doing great. Canadian-wise, it's hard because I want to see Mackenzie Hughes do well, but then there's Corey Connors. The guy's got a world of talent. I think he hasn't unleashed it yet. Everybody's been saying it for the last year and a half. I think when he gets comfortable out there, comfortable enough to really go at it and start making some putts, he's going to have a great week. So I'm calling a good top 20 for Corey Connors. I've got a couple more picks, but I'll let you guys take it away.
I'll jump in. You've covered some good ones there, Raf. I'm going to echo Corey Connors. I think he hits it so strong, so solid, so good that, and this is he's been to Augusta a few times now. So I think there's a good choice there. Can he win it? Sure. Will he? I have no idea. But I like Corey. I'm going to throw another Aussie, Marc Leishman. I think Marc's a good player. He'll be, I'd like to see him kind of get in there. And let's go with the Louis Oosthuizen does a repeat.
All right. Well,
never count Louis out.
Never count Louis out. That's for sure.
So, I mean, I'll stand with my picks that I've said the last couple of weeks. John Rahm, dark horse Patrick Reed, just because I don't like him as a player necessarily, and I do like his place in the game, and he's a strong player. Especially, he actually might need some controversy to play well, because he seems to do well when the press is all over him, or he seems to rise above the hatred that's in the field. And again, like, I agree, Hadwin and Connors. I would. I'd love to see both of them, one of them, do well this week, because they're both trending in the right direction, and fantastic golfers. And so, it'll be pretty wild. BC is really, all of Canada's rooting for Hadwin, but especially BC is going to get a lot of love from Fraser at the VGT if he wins the Masters. Could you imagine the posts from Fraser? Oh, I
think it'd be huge. I'm not really sure if Hadwin's in there. I don't know if he's qualified. I've got to double check. I know Hughes is in there, Connors is in there, and Weirzy is playing, but Hadwin's, I know he's been on a streak. He's probably in the top 100 right now, but he didn't get into the top 50. So something we need to check out. But
I'm trying to Google it quickly here.
Not in the field.
He's not in the field.
Okay. So don't pick Hadwin this week, everybody.
Well, no, I thought the same thing, Mike, until I started thinking about it this morning. I know he fell out of the top 125. He was way back there, and he's had these top 10 finishes, and that should have made him crack the top 100. But I don't have it in front of me. But yeah, lots to look at. Obviously, Tiger Woods is the big story. Is the massive story of him, with this comeback, and we'd love to see him play well, and all the players would love to see him. Rory McIlroy, obviously, finishing the career Grand Slam, getting a win would be great. He hasn't had much consistency over the last, little while, even though he had that win in Vegas late last year on the 2021-22 season. Guys, we're going to wrap this up. Any final thoughts, Mike?
Just check us out on all the podcast platforms: Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast. We are there. We'd appreciate a plug and a share and a follow, whatever the platform offers. Oliver, thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking some time to BS about golf and sharing a little more insight on your past and your future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks,
congratulations with everything. Thanks for coming on. Obviously, if you need your golf course redesigned, your 9-hole, whether it's municipal, private, semi-private, give Lobb Partners a call and ask for the man, Oliver Tubb. For Oliver Tubb, Michael Bleakley, I'm Raphael Calmat. You've been listening and watching the Golf Podcast Live. Until next week, thanks a lot, guys.
Cheers.
All right, and we're done.
That's great. That was awesome.
Yeah, time flies. We could talk about so many things.
Well, it's amazing, which we aim for an hour, but sometimes it's like an hour and 25, 30 minutes go by, or, it just goes, and it's fun. Fraser was great. He was about an hour and a half. He went on, and Michael Whalen last week was, he couldn't stop. He had
Michael
so
Whalen
much.
was the executive producer for the Golf Channel. Talked to us about how he won his Emmys, how he produced all the boxing matches that Tyson did, Wimbledon, how he developed the Golf Channel and everything that happened, and how he hired everybody on. It was pretty incredible.
Peter Kessler stories, and it was really wicked to hear the behind the scenes stuff from the early Golf Channel days. And he was pretty candid. He didn't